and then awareness of more than one perspective. Listen to all the perspectives. That's sort of a theme throughout. And basically, there's I thought was a pretty good thing. These 5 applications of mindfulness from Wick and Sutcliffe. Characteristics, and this is all to improve safety and to create what they call high reliability organizations. Preoccupied with failure. That sounds sort of bad, but no, it's like, how can we possibly fail? What are all, so always being very vigilant, not vigilant, vigilant. So being constantly mindful of what are the possible ways that we could fail. Don't simplify interpretations of problems, whatever. Sensitivity to operations, what are all these different things that are going on, even the minor stuff. Look at absolutely everything. Commitment to resilience, and deference to expertise. Got to listen to the experts. That's important. They know what they're talking about. It's not just about making money, making monkeys, making money. It's not just about making money when you're making monkeys at the monkey factory. There could be risks. That plastic or whatever could be toxic. Who knows? I'll let you read more about that, but the big opportunity here again is you got to have that mindful outlook. It's essential to recognize new risks, and in a nutshell, it's just about not ignoring all these things, constantly focusing on things, opening up your mind, all that type of stuff. Okay. The next thing, risk Australia. Good day, mate. More interaction, analyzing multiple audiences, who are the public and all the stakeholders and everything like that. And this sort of gets complicated because they talk about a dialogic approach or a dialogue-centered approach versus a monologue approach, and then they turn sort of the monologue into technology-centered. And again, I'll let you read the differences there between the dialogue and monologue and the funky table of dialogue versus dialogue center versus technology center. Doing laundry as well. I don't know if you can hear the buzzard. Trying to get packed, trying to get to Texas tomorrow. It's like a whole other country, but not the one down under. Good day, mate. What they say in Texas? Howdy. So I'll let you read all the specifics and have you sort of figure out all the differences between a dialogue-centered approach and a technology-centered approach. But the long and the short of it is both of them have advantages and disadvantages. So it's got to be, you got to be contextual about it. And then they have that really funky, the funky monkey. The brass monkey, the funky, okay. The risk F, hazard plus outrage from the Sandman, Bring Me a Dream. This is, so basically, here is the problem. Here is the little equation. Sandman's equation distinguishes between hazard, the scientifically determined risk level, and outrage, the public's perceived risk level. Simply put, if the public perceives that something is of high risk, we're scared about this biotech, scientific experts will have a very difficult time convincing them otherwise, but they got to try, because that's what effective crisis communication, risk communication is all about. Conversely, if the public perceives that something is not a high risk, global warming, I'm not going to be alive then anyway. I don't care. I like my truck. Scientific experts will have a very difficult time convincing the public that it is. So you got the golden rule. The golden rule for risk managers is always focus on the linked hazard plus concern. So you're interested and invested not only in how hazardous or not something is, but also how concerned or not the stakeholders or the public are. And you got to deal with both of that stuff. And it talks about mad cow diseases. So that's the little next thing. The cows are mad. They're utterly angry. Utterly. I'm going to milk this for all it's worth. Oprah. So, you know, and by the way, again, I was born in Oklahoma. But not down under. Good day, mate. I also like Midnight Oil, and I burn Midnight Oil. It's a great song, great band. So basically, we had this the bovines, spongiform, whatever it's called, the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious snuffleupagus, whatever his name was. Snuffleupagus, what was his name? Grover. Hi, I'm Matt. No. Hi. Almost. I can't do Elmo. Okay, never mind. So we got Oprah, who, because of this thing, you know, even though the risk was very low, particularly in the United States, and the whole thing, what was it, a hoax or something? You can read this stuff. The small risk caused Oprah Winfrey to declare on her program that she would never eat beef again. Never. No more cows for Oprah. And there was public outrage over the BSE, not only in the United States but also internationally, devastated Canadian beef producers after several infected cows were discovered in that country. U.S. took extreme measures to make certain no cow was showing symptoms or was went in the food supply, basically. So they had this information that it's okay, but the effective risk thing was that Jonas, whoever this guy, recognized that public outrage would not permit him to de-emphasize the hazard. So you gotta say, yes, there is a hazard. He wisely recognized public concern and emphasized the protective strategies that the USDA had developed since the first case of BSE was discovered in the United States 2 years earlier. The strength of the dialogue, center of philosophy, is that by its nature takes into account the public's outrage, and so blah blah blah. So basically, and then you got to, you know, also with the technological approach or whatever, you want to make sure that the well, it depends. It depends on the situation. I'll let you read more about it. But here's the big thing. This is the big thing. There are tensions between the technology center and the dialogue centered. This is from Rowan. The democratic process does not in and of itself mean that we will arrive at the best decision regarding a risk. Rowan is concerned about a dialogue process that tries to outlaw an important communication skill, persuasion. I mean, some folks say, yeah, there is a risk here. The scientists say it's a risk, even though the humans might not. So we got to have both. So basically, this is the big idea. Opportunity number 3, risk communication must account for both hazard and outrage. Both and. That's muy, muy importante. Does that make sense? I hope so. Canada is hard to get sometimes because it's Russia. Okay. Australia. Okay, arguments are good. Convergence theory. Really the big point about convergence theory and risk communication is in the middle of page 206. We see convergence as the primary objective in risk communication. The uncertainty in risk situations give rise to competing claims about the levels of danger and about the appropriate means for responding. Thus, diverse arguments emerge. So there's always going to be diverse arguments about, is this risky, is it not, blah, blah, blah. As the public observes these arguments, it is, and we get this stuff from media, we get this stuff from experts, we get this stuff from all over the place. As the public observes these arguments, it is unlikely to fully accept one line of reasoning and totally reject another. Instead, the public is likely to make sense of the issue by observing the ways in which the arguments interact. So they have these, another little table, and there's no little opportunity for this section, but basically they give the example of global warming, and they have just another little fun table with circles. So you got this one line of argument way out there that global warming does not exist, that a lot of people still believe. But then you have all of these other the 4 lines of arguments. Global warming may exist. Global warming exists, but we don't know what to do about it. Global warming exists, and we do know what to do. Global warming exists, but it's too late to do anything about it. But those converge, and the common theme is that global warming actually exists. So the convergence theory is the idea that then most public would make sense of all this stuff by looking at how those things converged, and therefore decide or reason that, yeah, global warming exists. And then that sort of moves to, and this is just basically how people sort of understand risk, but that sort of moves to this larger idea here of responsible risk communication. And one of the main things here, and we've talked about this before in previous chapters, or chapters in the future, significant choice.